Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday. Happy birthday to you.
Well, Federal Communications Commission will have to check on that. That's not a regular theme song. Good morning, Mr. Asian. Thank you very much. Yes.
Well, maybe you could just, if you pardon my interrupting, maybe you could
always
just
do. What's
say
the difference?
what you say is true, and I feel bad enough about it. Don't bring it up. Maybe you might just mention why that was the introductory tune this morning, if you don't mind.
Well, I could do that. 92 years ago, I became my mother's favorite son. That category ceased 5 years later when my brother arrived.
But you held it for 5 years. That's
that
good.
was pretty good. Favorite son for 5 years, and Jack's been that way ever since. So, 80. Let's see here. Yes, 87 years. Good for you. Good for him. Hey, he will be having a birthday in January. Anyway, thank you very much. Got a lot of fine cards. I'd like to comment that on this day in 1923, Todd and Chrissy, bread was 9 cents a loaf.
Did they have
eggs, 42 cents a dozen. Gas, 22 cents a gallon. Stamps were 2 cents. And you know, it's risen now to 40-some cents. And
48, isn't it?
48, and the service is a damn bit better.
Not so much.
So, yes, and Old Barney Google was one of the top songs in 1923. Did you ever hear that?
Oh, I did. I know that song.
I don't think I've heard that, Bill. Could you sing a little bit for us?
Barney Google.
With the googly eyes.
All right, that's enough of that.
You have to be over 75 to
And for
be
my
in
encore, seriously, we had no vice presidents.
Really?
Yes, I did not realize that.
Because why? Had he died, or
No.
just never got one?
I'd also like to announce that on this October the 28th in 1949, Bruce Jenner. Now that just warms my heart. He was born. Indiana Moon, Annabelle. Anyway, 92 years is a long time, and I appreciate that. And by the way, for those of you who have commented on having our good friend Mr. Chris Miller from the weather station out here on Route 10, we've had him several times up here and always enjoy him. That ain't going to happen no more.
Why?
Well, I'm mad at him. So we're not going to invite him up anymore.
Why?
Well, I was going to play golf. I had to force him all arranged to play golf on my 92nd day, and he let this weather come in, and so forget it, Chris.
Oh, well.
All right, serious business.
He's just spouting, Chris. Don't pay attention.
Chrissy and Todd remembers that we always try to start Viewpoint with a kudo or two. And I think in the form of a public announcement, as far as this kudo is concerned, Jim and Judy, we got a call from Perry Jackson, who appeared with us for the Illinois Challenge Academy.
Yes.
And Perry was thinking far ahead enough, and he's so interested in his job that he wanted me to remind parents that this report cards are out now and so forth. Take a good look at your child's card, folks. Don't just give a cursory look. And if we have any youngsters out there that are on the bubble and so forth, struggling, Perry Jackson would be very happy to talk with you. Challenge Academy is a different way of educating young folks who are finding it difficult in the mainstream schools. And Perry is very, very interested, vitally interested in this. And so I'm going to give you a number. If there are any parents out there who are concerned about their youngsters and have not been able to solve the problem in the school system, 217-582-7875.
Well, bless his heart.
I appreciated the fact that he's so vitally involved and interested in his job, that he took the time to call and ask that we remind our parents. There's a parent that we never have to worry about. That guy's involved in his kids, let me tell you that.
Yeah, and I looked at their report cards, and they've got some letters that are at the top of the alphabet that I didn't see a whole lot when I was that age.
Is that right?
Yeah, that report card looks foreign to me.
Linda, you are doing a great job. Go ahead, introduce our guests more officially and formally.
May I take the liberty of one kudo?
You take a lot of liberties.
Okay,
I don't understand
yes, I
it,
do. I'd like to say thank you to Danny Tackett, whether or not he got any response from the industry, for bringing to our attention that in Lincoln, gas is way higher than anybody else in central Illinois, and even in Chicago, we've beaten them from time to time. I don't know what the answer is. Danny didn't know what the answer is. But thank you for having to bring it up, Danny.
Yeah, the cojones, Danny. Thank you very much.
Really?
Yes, all right.
Yeah.
I've sent several emails to Thornton's and other places and never get a response.
Never get a response.
No.
And you're sending them in a capacity as alderman for the city of Lincoln.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm getting nothing. When I was in Chicago on Friday, filled up for $2.37 because I thought that's a pretty good price, and got back home and it was $2.35.
Go figure. Yeah,
So
that doesn't make any sense.
Well,
at
we've
all.
even been above Chicago, and I don't know how many cents per gallon they have in tax on theirs,
Well,
but it's a bunch.
Jim's hometown the other day, here regular.
Yeah.
It was $1.92 right out here at Casey's.
Yeah, and it's not very far to come up here.
Say, we ought to get serious then.
Oh, I know it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Well, I got so excited about your
Poor old
birthday.
Chrissy's sitting here wondering what the heck's going on.
Well, we have with us today Dr. Todd Mourning, and he is the head of the rehab department at Abraham Lincoln Memorial Hospital. With him is Chrissy Willoughby, and Chrissy is a physical therapist there, and they are, dare I say, piggybacking on a program from the Mother House down in Springfield. Memorial Health System has their weight loss and wellness center, and we are going to have our own, and they're going to tell us about all the particulars of this. We were talking before we came in here that for ever so long, Logan was the most obese county in the state of Illinois. However, we've slipped to number 2, thank you, God. And we're going to try to slip even farther with their help.
That's
so
amazing.
Tell us about, you'll have a couple visiting dignitaries coming from Springfield, from Memorial Health Center, and then your own staff will be running this, and goodness knows we need it.
Right. Let me back up a little bit and tell you a little bit of the history of what we've done at the hospital and what Memorial has done and why we are merging them together. So, the Memorial Weight Loss and Wellness Center has been in place for about 9 years. And their program has been pretty extensive with physician involvement, or nurse practitioner involvement, physical therapy, behavioral health, nutrition therapy. It's been a top-notch program for quite a while. We had a program that we started probably 3 to 4 years ago. It was called the Moving Forward Weight Loss Program. That involved meeting with either a physical therapist or an exercise physiologist for an exercise program, and meeting with a dietitian, and meeting with a behavioral health counselor. Now, what we were missing at ALMH was the medical management component. And so we, even though our people were successful in losing weight and changing some lifestyle habits, we were missing that medical management. And some people just need that, they have comorbidities, other health problems that are just preventing them from losing weight. They're preventing them from exercising. Obesity causes a lot of complications with ladies trying to get pregnant, with diabetes. So you really need a physician or a nurse practitioner supervising these people and pointing them in the right direction. We didn't have that expertise up here within our program. So a year and a half ago, we started talking with Memorial on how we could bring the Memorial Weight Loss and Wellness Center to Lincoln. And on November 12th, it will launch in Lincoln as the Memorial Weight Loss and Wellness Center at Abraham Lincoln Memorial Hospital. And we will have our staff, such as Chrissy. Mark Craig is an exercise physiologist. He'll be our program coordinator. He works at the hospital. Ellen Roth is our dietitian. Olivia Messina is a behavioral counselor from Mental Health Centers of Central Illinois, which, by the way, is being rebranded, thank goodness, to Memorial Behavioral Health, because it's much easier to say.
Yes, MHCCI has a big name.
Yes, so it'll be Memorial Behavioral Health. I'm not sure when that kicks over, but shortly. And then Dr. Florence, who is a internist, pediatrician / bariatrician for Memorial Physician Services, will be coming up, or her nurse practitioner, her name is Emily. One of those two will be coming up on a weekly basis. At this point, we're thinking weekly, to do the evaluations, to do the follow-ups. We also have a bariatric surgeon in town. I don't know if anybody knew that.
No.
Dr. Orlando Ikaza.
Oh, yes.
He does not perform any bariatric surgeries at the hospital. Those are complicated and need to be in Springfield at Memorial. But he will do follow-up visits with the patients here, initial visits with the patients here. So what we're trying to do is get all of those services that we can and keep people at home in Lincoln. Because, honestly, going back to the gas prices, we're paying more for gas, and it's expensive to go to Springfield a couple times a week for your appointment. So if we can keep those services in town, it would be a much better compliance, we think, for our patients to be able to have to drive across town than drive to Springfield.
Yeah.
Will this be run on an appointment basis when the doctor and the PA come?
Yes.
Here, so it won't be a class situation per se.
There may be some components that are classroom type situations, such as the diabetes teaching, some of the nutritional therapy, and even some of the behavioral therapy may have a group component at some point. For the most part, they're individual, but occasionally they throw a classroom in there. The way you'll get into the program, the people at Memorial have been generous enough to offer their services on the front end. So you will actually call the Memorial number and talk to somebody in Springfield. They'll take all your information. They'll run all your insurance information and have a conversation about what your financial responsibility may be. And then they will do the scheduling then. They say, oh, you're from Lincoln? They'll schedule the doctor up here. We'll get a hold of them. We'll schedule the therapist. We'll schedule the dietitian and everything else like that. So,
insurance seems to be looking more to wellness than to picking up the bill after you've gotten sick, really.
Correct.
And I wonder if that will come into play for some of these people. Are there insurances that will help pay for this service?
yeah, Chrissy, you want to take that one?
Yeah. There's of course many different insurances out there, and they all have a slightly different take on it, but there's
Right.
a lot of
Don't
them
they
that
ever?
will offer payment for various components, and some will offer payment for all of the components. The folks at Springfield, when you call over there, they kind of do that research, look into it, and they'll let you know on the front end what would be covered and what wouldn't. And so then you can kind of decide how to proceed and which way to go with that.
Good.
Chrissy and Todd, I don't want to be flip about this at all, because it's really a very serious matter. But you mentioned the mental part of it. And is it fair to say that that sort of a situation in an individual as regards weight would be the same problem with an individual as regards being hooked on alcohol or drugs? It's a mental approach.
There are certainly some,
Perhaps some, or at least many times.
some behavioral and cognitive issues that go along with it. People have a variety of life experiences, and we all make choices in our lives based on those experiences to keep ourselves safe or feeling good or whatever that way may be. That's why it's so critical that we have the behavioral health component, and they help people to kind of discern what it is that's driving them, what is causing this to happen. And it's certainly not all mental. I mean, as Todd spoke about, the medical component is huge. The, well, now my back hurts so much it's difficult. So we need all of that together to help make a successful answer for these people.
For a while, conventional wisdom held that it was the fault of we who were mothers, because when Johnny came in with a skinned knee, you'd kiss it, put a Band-Aid on it, and say, "Oh, bless your heart," and give him a cookie.
I think it's way more complicated than that.
Everything was the mother's fault for a while.
It's a lot more complicated than that. But they are looking at some actually genetic factors. So I guess in a way it is the mother's fault because you get your genes from somewhere. But just different things about our lifestyle, how we live, how we work. Do we have sedentary jobs? What kind of foods are we able to afford and prepare in our homes? All these things, go into it, and it's so difficult to discern what is this problem exactly for each person and what would be the appropriate solution.
But getting back to it being the mother's fault, you can see I've been on a guilt trip for these 60 years. If you continually have potato chips and cookies and pie, etc., in your home for your children and yourself, wouldn't they form that habit? And I'm afraid so much of our life, like Bill says, is habit. You get up in the morning, you brush your teeth. That's a habit. You get up on Sunday, you go to church. It's a habit.
Well, not for all.
Well, most.
This is true. I mean, there certainly are a lot of habits that we have, and the nutritionist can speak to this better, but of course when the kids are young, it is important to have good and healthy choices, healthy foods, healthy exercise, to instill these things in kids that are young. But we're dealing with people who are beyond that. So yes, there are other initiatives that do work on that, and those are very critical and important to do as well as a family.
One of the serious spinoffs from a weight problem is, and you see some folks, and you kind of really grieve for them. You see, there is the connected issues as far as their health is, their general health is concerned. It's not only the weight factor, but then of course that it goes down to the rest of the body. And there's a lot of connected health issues connected with overweight.
Yeah, and that's what we call comorbidities, or things that kind of run alongside of it. Oh my gosh, I'm a bad speller.
Well, I just I just wanted to make sure.
I wouldn't even try. But yes, that's why the weight loss issue, it's not just what size of clothes can I wear. It's, do I have diabetes or not? Or, am I at risk for cancer? There are just so many things that go along with it, which is why that weight loss can be so important to a person for their overall health and longevity and quality of life. And it's so important to address those issues.
Now, you've mentioned genetics twice. If in your family there have been incidents of diabetes, would it be more important for you, if that's possible, to continually monitor your eating habits? Because you don't want to get too heavy, because that can bring on the diabetes, or how does it work?
Yeah, if you do have a family history, yes, you need to be more vigilant about your lifestyle choices and things like this. So if you have this in your history, then you know that you have to pay a little bit more attention than other people. Each person has a body that we carry with us through this life, and each body has a certain set of instructions, so to speak, or whatever that's best for you to live your lifestyle. And part of the trick is figuring out what's the best thing for you to do.
And in terms of the diabetes and this program specifically, we know that obesity is heavily related to diabetes. and especially type 2 diabetes.
As a cause or effect?
Either and or.
I see.
If you have type 2 diabetes, there's a good chance that you are obese. They go hand in hand. We also know that if you lose weight, you can, in 50% of the time, eliminate the type 2 diabetes, and the other 50% will be much easier to manage. So by taking off weight, you can actually eliminate some of these comorbidities or make it much easier to manage. Sleep apnea, when you're sleeping on your back and you're snoring and all of a sudden you stop breathing, also is heavily related to obesity. So by getting your weight down, you can actually take care of some of these things. But in terms of diabetes, I know that within this program, when the nurse practitioner or the physician is talking about your family history of diabetes, they're looking at your lab work. If they even sniff that you might have a family history, or you're like pre-diabetic where your sugars are up and down, just not where they should be, they will put you right into the diabetes education class, because they want to use it as a preventative at that point. Even though you may not be diabetic, they want you modifying your lifestyle as if you were, to prevent diabetes from happening to you.
We have folks that they're healthy sponsors, and one of the reasons this station stays healthy is their sponsorship. And so at this point in time, we'll take a couple of minutes here and defer, and we'll be right back in the studios with our guest from Abraham Lincoln Memorial Hospital. Right back live in the studios here, WLCN 96.3. Our guests this morning from Abraham Lincoln Memorial Hospital, Chrissy Willoughby, and Dr. Todd Mourning, sorry about that, Todd, who has just done a bang-up job in being in charge of our physical therapy department at our hospital.
Amen.
I don't want to, he would be hard to walk out of here if I spelled too much, his head kind of get away with it. But not him. He's pretty well grounded. And he and lovely wife Linda are great parents. They keep those kids involved. So we're talking about health today, weight factors, diabetes. It covers a whole gamut of factors as far as our individual health are concerned. Those of us who are indeed very lucky that we do not have ongoing health problems should get down on our knees every night and thank God for that. Todd,
then try to get up again.
Yeah, there's a problem. That's why I don't do that very often. Getting up. Todd,
I'm sorry.
You wanted to, no, that's all right. Todd wanted to cover something, but I'm going to give you a number, 648-5510. Somebody may have a problem individually or in their families. They might want to ask a question. Feel free to do that. 648-5510. Go ahead, Todd.
Well, thanks, Bill. And I wanted to say before we leave, happy birthday to you. Usually my Facebook pops up and says today's Bill's birthday, but I haven't got anything yet, so
Maybe it'll be there when you get
it. Might be there later, so yeah.
Since I can't play golf, I decided not to have one.
Yeah. Postpone it till tomorrow. Maybe it'll be nicer.
Yeah, right.
To piggyback on what we were just talking about with diabetes, we have an event upcoming, hosted and run by our lead clinical dietitian at the hospital, Jennifer DePasquale. She is a certified diabetic educator, and she is hosting a Caring for Diabetes seminar on November 7th. It's a Saturday from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. at Abraham Lincoln Memorial Hospital. You do need to call and register so we know you're coming. The number is 217-605-5508. That will get you to our marketing department, and you can tell them you want to sign up for the Caring for Diabetes program, and they will get you registered. She said the big thing about this one, not only you're talking about healthy food choices and how diabetes works, but they're going to be doing some insulin demonstrations. And so it'll really give you a great idea of the understanding of the mechanisms behind diabetes. And if you have a better understanding of how things work, it always helps you to understand how to care for it.
That's one of the most insidious diseases I can think of. You know, you say someone has diabetes, but then there are all these attendant things that happen to them, and none of it's very pretty.
It's a chain reaction, and if you are not controlled, you're just asking for trouble.
Big time.
Big time trouble. It's almost guaranteed trouble. Yeah.
Well,
Nasty
Chrissy,
business.
Go ahead, please, honey.
Oh, I was just thinking about diabetes, and it was making me sad.
Well, it's just
You go.
it's such an insidious thing, and starts with the toe, and the first thing you know, you've got two toes, and then go from there. It then spirals downhill. Chrissy, let's get to you for a minute. And you've been with us a couple of years here in our system. Give us a little background on your education, where you got your experience to come here and help us out. This girl's a DeWitt County girl, by the way. She comes from Clinton.
Yeah.
That's not too far out of town, is it?
No, it's not. It's not a bad drive every morning. I graduated from Northwestern University about 26 years ago, and I've been practicing physical therapy since that time. I've been with Abraham Lincoln Memorial for about 3 years. And over the course of that 26 years, I've done a lot of things, including have a private practice, but also working with wellness in a variety of settings, and then just a whole slew of orthopedic patients, neurological patients, pediatrics, sports, all those types of things that come with many years of practice.
My goodness, yes. You sit here and look at that lady, Mrs. Busby, and she says she graduated from Northwestern, which is an accomplishment in and of itself.
Yeah.
26 years ago.
Amazing.
If I had my hat on, I'd tip it in your direction, my dear.
Yes.
That's quite.
You know, you must have been in on the ground floor of this. I don't think that physical therapy was quite the program it is today.
Physical therapy has certainly changed over the years, but
Yeah.
it existed before me. It kind of had its origins back in World War II with some working
the
with
soldiers?
polio patients and soldiers and things.
Sure.
And perhaps even before that. But yes, there has been a lot of changes over the years, and we're able to be more effective with patients than we had in the past. The people coming out of school now have a higher degree of education, and there's much more research for us to look at, and we can make better choices when we treat our patients. Todd has his doctorate in physical therapy, and it just allows him to more effectively evaluate what's out there and make good choices.
Yeah, we have an evidence-based practice team that does a lot of research to find out how best, to treat low back pain, how best to treat a knee. So there, from what we used to know when Chrissy and I got out of school, it's changed, completely changed, and new techniques, new treatments, new equipment. Things are much different at this point. So
You mentioned back problems. That's another nasty business that can be controlled. Do you have pretty good success with people before they have to have back surgery, which to my mind is a dicey thing? And it seems like it's a catch-22. If you have problems with your back or your joints, you're less mobile. If you're less mobile, you're more apt to gain weight. You're kind of in a catch-22.
it is a downward spiral. Yes. You summarized it nicely. If you're not mobile, you're more apt to be sedentary. Sedentary, you're more apt to gain weight. The research out there now, treating low back pain is still a roll of the dice. 50% of them are going to get better, 50% of them are going to have trouble. That's just the way it is. If you're obese, your chances that you're going to get better are less. You've got a lot of weight compressing on the spine. Your mobility is not as good. So taking weight off typically will help with treating your back. The catch is, a lot of people who have a lot of back pain can't move. so you can't do the exercises that we want you to
Exactly.
do. So it is a downward spiral, and I had another thought in my head, and I've completely lost it.
That'll happen.
Sorry,
Wait
does
until
that
you're
ever
our
happen
age.
to you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll bring you back. I tell you, when you call us when you get home or you're back. I'd like to touch, Judith, if I may, please, on what I perceive to be the overall completeness of our physical therapy department there at our hospital. I'd like, Todd, for you and Chrissy, if you will, to talk about the extent of our physical therapy services there. I don't want to stroke you, but we're lucky to have a man who has his doctorate in that to serve our community here. Give us an overview of what we do there in that PT department.
Well, we have physical therapy, occupational therapy, and speech therapy. Each of those are separate disciplines. Speech therapy, you're going to work with the swallowing issues you may get, or speech issues, voice issues that you may develop over time or after an illness, stroke, or something like that. Occupational therapy will work with upper extremity issues, and also, like Mr. Ash here has a thing on his hand. We would
That's
put
called a
him
cast, in case you don't know, doctor.
we would put him in to see Carla, our occupational therapist, and she would work to get the motion back in his hand. If he needed a splint to support the wrist, she could make that for him. She also deals with bathing and dressing issues and other issues. People may have knee surgery or a stroke or something, and they can't quite get back to where they can cook their own meals. She'll work with them on that. And then PT will treat, all the other issues that you may have, knees, hips, ankles, backs, necks, that kind of stuff. We have our registered dietitians. They treat diabetes and weight loss, and they take care of all the inpatient dietary needs. We have in our department. We have cardiac and pulmonary rehab, and we have an exercise physiologist there also. So that program has improved with the quality of treatment that they are getting. We have athletic trainers in our department who do. We have an athletic trainer at Lincoln High School. And we have an athletic trainer at Lincoln College, and they take care of the athletes out there. And in the summer, they take care of the local kids who want to improve their sports performance. And they also do the impact testing, which is the concussion testing. And then, just as a shameless plug at this point,
go right ahead.
There have been in the last several weeks, there have been several high school football players that have had catastrophic injuries because of head injuries. And not around here, thank goodness. But my point is that if you have an athlete, you need to call us and get their baseline impact test, so that if they are concussed during a sporting event, we can go back and check their baseline and see if when they're ready to go back to sport.
People
and you
are
can
very
call the
well aware
department.
of that at this point because of what you say.
You can call the department and we'll get you set up to complete that test. So
I'd like
I
to
do
back-
have my thought back. It did come back to me.
Okay, go for it.
When we're talking about the back pain and knee pains.
Yes.
Many surgeons now will not do knee surgery, a knee replacement surgery on you if you have a body mass index, a BMI over 40?
40.
40. So if you have a BMI 45 and you need a knee replacement badly,
Forget that.
forget it.
Really.
And the same thing goes with backs. Some surgeons won't operate on your back if you smoke at this point, because the
No
evidence is
kidding.
there to say that if you have these health conditions, this surgery's not going to be the best thing for you at this point.
Now, you mentioned knee surgery, just very pragmatically. At my age, I'm not sure that it would be advisable for me to go through all of that, to have a knee replaced and so forth when you're in your 90s. There's a point of no return somewhere along the line. And my take is that I'd rather probably put up with it and go ahead. So what are your comments about that, sir?
Well, I will say we have had people who are a few years older than you do very well with knee replacements.
Really?
Yep. If you think you got another good 10 years in you and the doctor's willing to do it, then it's an option. But you are correct. If you can manage it conservatively and get by, you're probably better off doing it that way.
you mentioned BMI. I know what that acronym stands for, but if it's not supposed to be 40 in order to have your replacement parts, what in the world is it supposed to be if you're really in the wellness business?
Well, a lot of it is age related, so.
Okay, 76.
I would have to look it up on my phone.
Oh.
There are tables that take into account your height and your weight, and that'll give you your body mass index. And you can access those online. Just type in BMI tables and online, and you'll come up with where you're. Like my BMI is around 31, 32. My doctor would like to see it probably around 26, 27.
Okay. So, for a man your size and age, 37 would be nice.
37 would be, I would be probably considered morbidly obese at 37.
Oh, you'd be morbidly obese?
If my BMI was 37, yes. So,
648-5510. Somebody might want to.
How do you know what it is?
Todd and Chrissy.
well, like I said, you can look it up online. Just type in Google search BMI tables.
No, right, and then you know what it's supposed to be, but how do you know what it is?
Oh,
Piffle.
you can also find a BMI calculator, and it'll calculate it for you online.
We do have a question that had been called in off air, and the caller would like a phone number for the weight loss program at Memorial.
Okay, it's a great.
Here we are.
Great
phone
intro.
number for the weight loss program at Memorial.
Okay, now to clarify, this number is going directly to Springfield. They will talk to you. They will talk about your insurance, go through all of that with you. When it's time to schedule appointments, you will be scheduled for our services in Lincoln.
Right.
The phone number to the Memorial Weight Loss and Wellness Center in Springfield is 866-205-7915.
And that's a toll-free number?
That's a toll-free number. They also have a website. It's www.memorialweightlossandwellnesscenter.com. That's Weight Loss and Wellness Center, all spelled out, no spaces. www.memorialweightlossandwellnesscenter.com. And that will get you to the website for more information.
Chrissy, in your experience here, have you uncovered any unusual patient relationships that are difficult for you to work around? People maybe not just understand what you're trying to do with and for them.
Have you ever had Bill as a patient?
You know, all patients come to us with their certain amount of understanding of things, and that's part of or lack of, and that's part of a challenge of a therapist is to work with this person, understand who they are, and what makes them tick, and find a way to motivate them to successfully make change. And sometimes, yes, it is more challenging than others, but that's what we do.
Yeah. And the behavioral component of this weight loss program is very crucial. They'll see the physician or the behavioral therapist first to find out where they are cognitively in their want to lose weight. And they will not progress through the program until the behavioral therapist has signed off on them and saying this person is engaged and invested and ready to make a change. Just like if you smoke and you're not ready to quit smoking, there's no reason to go through smoking cessation.
So
Same thing here. They've got to check you off and make sure that and certify that you are ready mentally to make that change.
So for someone to come to you and say that the kids are really ragging me about the fact that I'm overweight, and so I thought I'd just come by here and make it, huh?
No, they can work with the behavioral health person to kind of tease that out, but you can only do it for yourself. I mean, the lifestyle changes that need to be made are large, and you, in your own heart and mind, need to make those changes and know that you need to do it, and you can't sustain doing it just for somebody else. You have to do it on your own.
As you think of all the people that you've dealt with, What's the biggest challenge overall?
They need to create new habits. We talked about habits earlier. We live our life in a certain way, and we need to make room for change and understand that has to happen. And that's, again, where the behavioral health people come in and help them make that mental room to change and understand the need to change, and then how to make that, some of those changes are small, like how do I make time to exercise? How do I make time to plan what I'm going to buy before I go to the grocery store?
Mm-hmm.
Where am I going to find that little moment of time where my kids aren't, nagging at me and things? And that can be really hard to figure out how to change.
Mm-hmm.
Well, bottom line, it's a mental game.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that some of us are amenable to going along with the program. Others just don't seem to be able to come up to the scratch line to help themselves, and that's a sad thing, but it's a fact of life. Mm-hmm. We appreciate Todd Mourning and Chrissy Willoughby being with us this morning, representing our great hospital out there in the west side of town. A lot of great services out there, not the least of which is our all the things that Todd described in the physical therapy, mental therapy, for want of a better word, occupational therapy. We appreciate that. We sign off this morning reminding you, if you haven't had a good day today, that 92 years ago a car would cost you $285.
It's more today.
Now, we've got a bit more today. And we always sign off, Chrissy and Todd, with the comment that's supposed to be relative to the subject matter of the day. And I found one that's rather simple and yet rather profound. And words of comfort, skillfully administered, are the oldest things that will help the known to man. Skillful words. Thank you very much.